Well, hello there, thanks for tuning into my YouTube channel, CNC Dude, with a completely different project for today. As you can see on my table, it looks like a table, because there is no base. This is probably one of the projects that I'm not gonna say that I hate the most. I actually don't hate a project where I don't have to use the bias. It's just that they're trickier than everything else. And you know, projects like these are the ones where it makes me want to have like two CNC machines. That way I can have one with the bias, one without. Maybe when I join the Rockefellerian suit of humans, I might be able to enjoy from such a luxury. In the meantime, I'm gonna have to basically do what everybody else does, which is basically, you know, put your bias, remove your bias, on and on. I imagine the folks at Tosa Tools are gonna take advantage of this opportunity to tell us that a solution would be their Fantastibulos plate filled with holes and all gimmicks. That certainly makes life easier, but like I said before, I am not a member of the Rockefellerian Society, which means as of today I cannot afford such a luxurious and beautiful toy. By the way, I believe that the Tosa tool table is fairly priced. I mean, most likely it is not an easy feat to make these tables. I imagine it takes a lot of work, you know, it's a lot of steel, and definitely it's not something you go to Walmart to buy, right? I mean, it's basically you make like maybe, I don't know, a few dozens a year, hundreds if you're lucky. So I am not saying that those tools are overpriced. I think they're fairly priced, but for hobby and enthusiast people that are really not making money, this is just for fun, right? I mean, you gotta choose where you spend your big bucks, or I should say your small bucks. Alright, what I'm gonna be doing today is playing with a fairly preposterous project. I mean, this, you know, I do a lot of boxes for the different projects to work, and you've seen some of those, like the blue boxes that I've done before. This box is a little bit bigger. Let me show you. Okay, I got this monstrosity on Home Depot. It was like, I don't know, 34, 35 bucks after tax, maybe 36. Why so big? Well, I would have wanted a small one. We're gonna put a motor in here, and that motor has some fancy propeller which is not small, which means that we need the space, which means that I have to use a big box. Now, this big box has plenty of challenges because, as it turns out, on some of the operations that you're going to see in the upcoming minutes, I cannot use the machine as it is. Basically, the problem is that I don't have enough wide travel. And you must be saying, well, what a piece of crap. Why doesn't we have enough wide travel? Well, guess what? There are plenty of items on this planet for which you would need an ever larger CNC machine. Rest assured that it doesn't matter how much space you have, there will always be an item that doesn't fit. It's just how it is, unless you have a CNC milling machine the size of the universe, which I'm not certain if it's under construction as we speak. Maybe the universe is a CNC milling machine, what do you know? Maybe the multiverse is a CNC milling machine. Holy crap it is! When you don't have enough space, just because at some point in time you won't have enough space, that's when we have to get creative. And that's what I'm gonna have to do today. Now, I could take advantage of the fourth axis and mount this on the fourth axis, and then I will have, wow, it would expand the axis considerably, because now you rotate, you do your features. It's pretty intense. The only problem is that I would need to fix this to the fourth axis, and that is something that I don't want to bother with. Actually, I already know how we're going to solve this problem, and believe me, it's not that hard. It may take a few extra minutes of setup, but it's going to be way less than if we use the fourth axis, because if you're going to use the fourth axis, this stuff will have to be centered on the fourth axis. And to make matters worse, how the hell am I gonna mount this? on the fourth axis. I don't even want to think about that. I'm certain it's possible, but I think it's gonna be so much hassle. I'm just gonna solve this very easily and you'll see how. Okay, now today I'm using something that I had not used before, although I have had it for, I think, probably 2 years. I'm talking here about these stoppers. I bought this, actually, Santa Claus brought me these stoppers, I'm thinking 2 years ago, that's what I'm thinking. And they have been on my drawer, not because I think they're useless, on contrary, I think they're super duper useful. It's just that I have not found the use, and I knew that I wanted them, so I put them on my list 2 years ago. And I said, Santa, really, please bring me those awesome stoppers that Tormach stocks, because I know that one day I'm gonna need them. And that's the beauty of tools, folks, that you don't buy a tool because you need it. You buy it because at some point in time you are going to need it, and it's best to have it that time when you need it than having to be wanting it when you need it and you don't having it. Hopefully I didn't mess up that tool philosophy there. Anyway, what I'm gonna do here is that I am going to set them up so that my part can be perpendicular with X and parallel with Y. And the reason is I don't want my box at an angle, and you'll see why in a little bit. But basically, once I found my perpendicularity, I can pretty much move my box around and it will be set at least with respect to that angle. Okay, so these stoppers are a great solution, and I bet there is a gazillion ways of doing it, but this is just so convenient and so cost effective. You know, I just had to check. Each one of these T-nuts stoppers are $6.86, maybe $10 when you factor in shipping and whatever else. If you try to make this, you're going to invest way much more than $10. I mean, you have to buy the material, you have to make holes, you have to thread. How much is your time worth? I mean, right? Do you work at $8.25 an hour? Is it $50 an hour? $200 an hour? If you are a brain surgeon, chances are that $10 is something you say, what? $10? Man, my bank account doesn't even register that kind of stuff, right? By the way, my bank account does register the $10 transactions, and I feel them on certain body parts, but I would have felt it even more if I had decided to make them myself. So I just got them. I just got Santa to make them on his workshop, or maybe he stopped by Tormach and picked them up. Anyway, the idea here is that I'm gonna put a bar, and then I'm gonna grab my indicator. Okay, you have your indicator against the piece, and then you move your y-axis in and out, and when you see that the needle is moving, that means that your stoppers are basically parallel with Y, perpendicular with X. Now, the technique that I used was to fixate the first one. You can fixate either one, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. You fixate one and you let the other one loose, and then as you're moving back and forth, you tap the loose one with a hammer, and once you find that your needle isn't moving anymore, bam, you basically tighten it. And at that point in time, your part is perpendicular with X. Now, I'm using here this piece of aluminum. I mean, this is not the most scientifically accurate way of doing it. This is not ground steel, right? I mean, this could have all sorts of imperfections, and who knows, maybe this part is not even square, so it is very possible there is a micro angle here. As it turns out, I really don't care. I mean, it's not the end of the world if the features that I'm imposing in are a micro degree off. If this was gonna go into, I don't know, the space shuttle or some kind of super duper alien technology, or some kind of vessel that you want to land on a comet, then perhaps you will want to measure it a little bit better. But for what we're doing here, it doesn't matter. And friends, That's one thing that you have to understand about machining. You know, there are people talking about, oh, that atom is out of place, what a piece of crap. Guys, what are you gonna use this for, right? I mean, is it really the end of the world if you have a few atoms out of place? Or is it just okay? So think about that before you decide to spend your time, because let me assure you that the amount of time that you have on this planet is limited. So as such, it is a resource, a very valuable resource, so use it wisely. And perhaps I shouldn't be talking so much because I'm kind of not only wasting my time but also yours. So let's get to work.